Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, today we are unpacking a truly transformative month of source material from the U Project. Listen, if you've been feeling, tired, completely burnt out, or just like you're endlessly running on a treadmill of trying to be quote-unquote better, you are absolutely in the right place. We're going to map out this incredible inner journey to help you move away from an exhausting performance-based life and into a place of really grounded internal clarity. We are skipping all those superficial life hacks today, and we're going straight to the foundation.
But right before we dive in, let's just take a collective deep breath and ask a pretty heavy question. If everything you are known for was suddenly taken away, who would you be? Seriously. If we stripped away your job, your title, your daily responsibilities, and all those achievements, what is left? I really want to leave a deliberate, maybe even slightly uncomfortable pause right here for you to just let that sink in. Because honestly, finding the answer to that exact question is the entire reason we're doing this explainer.
All right, Section 1, the illusion of self-improvement.
So, why do so many of us feel like we're just constantly fighting ourselves while we're trying to grow? Well, it's because we're building on a totally false foundation. Think about it. On one hand, we've got self-improvement, which, let's be real, is usually just this frantic attempt to fix or change ourselves. But true growth, that requires self-awareness first. It's like you literally cannot plant a seed without intimately knowing the dark, rich soil of who you really are. A farmer wouldn't just throw seeds on concrete, right? They study the soil. Yet we constantly try to force all these new habits onto ourselves without ever taking the time to understand our own inner soil.
And this right here is exactly why that whole hustle culture mindset is burning you out. Growth without awareness is pressure. It's such a powerful truth. You're applying endless, crushing pressure to something you haven't even taken the time to actually understand. If you try to improve what you don't know, you're going to feel frustrated and completely defeated every single time. Because awareness, you guys, it isn't about judging yourself. It's simply about seeing yourself clearly so your growth actually has a solid foundation to stand on.
Moving right along to Section 2, untangling identity from roles.
To truly understand our identity, we've got to systematically break down the labels we use to hide from the silence. You know the ones, the strong one, the achiever, the helper, or maybe even the failure. I want you to imagine these labels as sticky, annoying name tags that you're wearing right now, and I want you to mentally peel them off. We are so used to introducing ourselves by our job titles, right? But those are just roles, and roles can and will change or end. If your entire identity is propped up on external titles, an emotional collapse is practically inevitable when those roles are taken away. Because in that moment, you aren't just losing a role, you literally feel like you are losing yourself.
So the absolutely crucial difference you need to remember is this. You do things, but you are not things. Let me say that again. You do things, but you are not things. Your career, that's an activity. Your calling is something you walk in. But your deep, intrinsic value, that comes from simply being. You matter just because you exist. Not because you perform, not because you produce, and definitely not because you prove yourself useful to everyone else around you.
The source material actually makes this beautiful connection to faith here. At Jesus' baptism, way before he performed a single miracle or preached a single sermon, heaven declared, "This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased." Think about that. Divine intrinsic value is declared completely independent of any performance. Zero achievements required. Identity absolutely must come before assignment, because if it doesn't, you're going to spend your entire life endlessly performing for a sense of worth that, honestly, you already possess.
Okay, let's shift gears to Section 3, the skill of awareness.
So, having stripped away all those heavy labels, how do we actually meet the real version of ourselves? Now, keep in mind, getting older does not automatically equal emotional maturity. I think we all know that for sure. People so often confuse self-awareness with self-absorption. But true awareness isn't about selfishly staring at yourself in the mirror or making literally every conversation about your drama. No, self-awareness is the ability to observe your thoughts, your emotions, and your triggers without getting defensive. It's about taking a step back and just watching how you show up without immediately beating yourself up over it.
And the thing is, self-awareness is not some happy accident. It's a daily practice skill. And these 4 precise steps right here, they act as your ultimate blueprint for checking in with your inner world instead of just running on autopilot. Step 1, pause before you react. Just take a breath. Step 2, name the feeling specifically. Don't just say, "I'm mad." Dig deeper. Say you feel insecure or maybe overwhelmed. Step 3, at the end of the day, really reflect on what actually drained your energy. And step 4, invite safe, honest feedback from the people who actually love you. That, my friends, is exactly how you build the muscle of awareness.
Which brings us to Section 4,
decoding your repeated patterns.
Listen, life is always talking to us, and usually it's communicating through those incredibly frustrating loops that just keep happening over and over and over again. Think of your life as a story. Those recurring cycles, the exact same conflict just with a different person, that regular emotional crash, or that super familiar disappointment, they aren't punishments. We always tend to think, oh, I'm just so unlucky. But actually, life is actively trying to instruct you about hidden beliefs that you just haven't addressed yet. Your patterns are literally shining a spotlight on what you truly believe about your worth, your personal boundaries, and your deepest fears.
So here is the real game changer. When you shift your internal question from a place of stubborn resistance to a place of genuine curiosity, everything changes. You have to stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what is this teaching me about me? Seriously, when you make that mental flip, you take your power right back. You finally listen to the lesson, which means life can finally stop forcing you to repeat the exact same painful class.
All right, Section 5, the mirrors of lies.
As we get closer to the end of this inner journey, we really have to look at the, frankly, uncomfortable tools that life uses to reflect our true selves back to us. We call these the mirrors. Every mirror is not comfortable, but every mirror is useful. It's a tough truth, right? We all have parts of ourselves that we desperately try to protect and hide. But wiping the dust off that mirror, even when it really, really hurts to look, is absolutely the only way to finally see yourself clearly and actually grow.
Now, these 3 elements essentially act as your life mirrors. First, people. The ones closest to us are usually the ones who reveal our biggest blind spots. Second, failure. Listen, failure isn't some final, devastating verdict on your worth. It is literally just honest feedback about your strategy or maybe some character gaps. And third, pain. Pain has this incredibly unique way of just stripping away all of our pretending and showing us what we truly rely on. So, instead of absorbing these reflections as shame or self-hatred, extract the truth from them. Do it with deep self-compassion and a whole lot of divine clarity.
And finally, Section 6, the transformation.
Okay, let's bring all of these teachings together and look at the really profound inner story arc you've just traveled through. Let's look at it through the lens of this journey. What was challenged this month? Well, your performance-based identity and all those sticky labels. What was actually healed? That deep, underlying emotional exhaustion that comes from just constantly trying to prove yourself day in and day out. And what was strengthened? Your intrinsic self-worth. Because as we can see, moving past that need for external validation actually heals our burnout. It grounds us in an unshakable foundational worth.
So to sum it all up, at the beginning of this journey, you probably believed your value was totally tied to your performance. But by the end, you understand that your worth is entirely intrinsic and that the true's growth always happens in the quiet. This right here is the ultimate destination. You are no longer frantically trying to build a massive house on the shifting sand of your daily achievements or public applause. You have finally touched the solid bedrock of your true self. And with that, I want to leave you with this final, incredibly provocative thought. What is life trying to show you about you today? Seriously, don't just rush past it. I really encourage you to step into the quiet today. Peel off those labels, drop the performance entirely, and just listen to what the mirror is telling you. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep reflecting, keep growing, and I'll catch you next time.